So 2005, this was a year where I was leading a large multinational organization, and I was having the time of my life where we were really creating cutting edge products. We were having clients from all over the world where I would be going to China to give a keynote speech or going to Japan to have some really interesting tie-ups. And I thought life is really, really beautiful. And before I knew, for reasons I could not fathom, within me I started to actually have doubt, started to have questions and confusion about, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I could not put my finger on it. And given my nature, I was not the kind of person who would go out and share or ask for help. So I would kind of try to withdraw myself into a shell and think about, hey, what's this happening? Why is this happening? What's the meaning of this? And also have guilt associated with it that, hey, I'm not able to give my best while I'm in this. So when I emerged out of this, I actually, this is a period which I would say was a period of life is suffering, and it was not driven by any external event that caused suffering. For me, this period was driven by life, my inward life, beginning to actually have this period of suffering for me. And I said, all right, what's next? As I moved to the examine this question deep in my heart, I came out of this suffering with a very clear clarity in my head that it's time for me to move on, but I did not know how. I did not know in what form. I just had that intention. I knew that the form will emerge over time, and a sense of adventure replaced that sense of suffering that I was going through. I had a product idea. I was deeply called by bringing the ancient Indian wisdom and combining it with technology, which I loved, in a way that actually could make a difference in people's life. You have heard of this Nadi Pariksha. In Ayurveda, you have this Nadi Pariksha, the pulse that gets measured. So what I thought was, hey, would it not be nice if we could actually have some watch-like thing which would actually be worn, and one could actually pick up the Nadi, the pulse, and measure the state of being, and from that state of being can actually see how we are and in real time shift it. So armed with that idea, I approached the person with whom I had co-founded the original organization when I had relocated to Hyderabad in 2000, and invited him to be my co-founder again, now in this context where I would be an entrepreneur, and said, all right, let's see what it takes. And I remember the day that he came over to my home. I was actually leaving that night for a trip to Australia on a personal visit, and I signed the final papers for creating the private limited company, and we had great plans. He was going to celebrate his 50th birthday in the next couple of days. And when I was in Australia, I actually got a information message to call my co-founder. So I went out to the phone booth outside and made a call. And when I went out and made the call, it was picked up by his brother-in-law. And I asked, where is that person? And I was told he has had a heart attack. And I just expressed my wish that, hey, I hope he recovers quickly and completely. I could hear an awkward silence at the other end. And then the person said, actually, Apollo has asked us to take away his body. And I was shocked. And he said, we haven't told his wife yet. And I felt very numb. I didn't even know what hit me and what was really happening. I came back. After coming back, I actually, and this is what taught me that how unpredictable life can be. We have very well laid plans of how this will unfold. But I came back, and after the period of grieving, uh, I reached out to one of my IIT classmates, who was a hardware whiz, and he was at that time based in Pune, and we had done our final year project also in biomedical area. So I said, can we create something? And he was really inspired. He was on to his fourth venture and really inspired to do something together. So we said, all right, so let's create a prototype. And we went about acquiring whatever we could in terms of sensors and trying to create this. But remember, this was the time in 2008, 2009, when smartphones were just appearing. Apple did not have an app store yet. Wearable tech was not a industry yet. And so when we went about doing it, the kind of sensors we were able to procure, the kind of challenges we had, it was very interesting in terms of the experience, but we ran into several challenges. This is also the time, because I now was an entrepreneur, I had more flexibility with my time, and since I was going deeper into this space of human mind, human consciousness, and in real time being able to shift it, I actually got into the journey of Yoga Sutras, because I felt that there is so much depth and understanding of and comprehensiveness of human psychology there, which actually can be captured. And in doing that, can I incorporate it with technology and the human touch and bring them together in a very unique, innovative way? Then this was a period of a lot of learning, both in creating the prototype as well as my own journey with the Yoga Sutras, which took me in a deeper journey of practice, living, this wisdom that we actually have in our Indian tradition. At the next stage, we came to a point where it became pretty evident to us that the prototype in its form is not going to work. We procured some off-the-shelf thing which we started experimenting with, but the one we had built, we realized that there were several technical challenges because the whole ecosystem was not mature enough. Yet, I think what seemed like a failure there turned out to be the biggest blessing, because for me, this period of 18 months, 2 years before I actually did my second startup was also the period where I got completely detoxified from the daily conference calls I had to do as a corporate leader in the evening. I also could spend such quality time with my children, especially my daughter. She would actually insist every night when I put her to sleep, tell me a story and make sure that it's not a story you have read anywhere. That was a big no-no. So, and you have to invent it. So I had a daily creativity challenge. When I would start telling her a story, I would have no clue how it would end. And I had to, on the fly invent it. So that was my daily test. But I think those moments when she was 7-year-old were really, really precious. Now, of course, both of them are teenagers, so they don't need us at that time. But it was really precious moments that I caught with them. And also, I actually ended up discovering a lot about myself in this whole journey. I recognize now that that brought me to a point which opened up a lot of questions for me about who I am, why am I here, where am I going from here. It was still to be several more years and a lot of other mistakes I had to make along the way before I could fully embrace my calling. But it was a twist in my life which firmly set me on that direction, which would at least take me in the right direction. And today, when I stand in front of you, 7 years after that, I think that was the pivotal point of taking the plunge, with knowing that whatever plans I make, in 6 months they might anyway go awry. I did not in my wildest imagination think that that would mean the death of my co-founder. I did not think that the product would fail in as spectacularly as it did, but I knew that it would anyway, as I go along, things would change. but but I think the now people ask me, how did you have the courage to do it? And I actually feel that if I had not given me that gift at that point, I would have really missed out on a big opportunity. And to me, that experience is the biggest experience in inventing myself. So for me, I am the product in terms of, it's not that product that I thought of, the idea I thought of, but who I am as a human being is the product that has emerged out of it. And today, as I stand on the threshold of, really living my calling, I actually see that that experience, that failure, and that jump into taking that chance has brought me here. And I wish everybody in their life can take that jump and learn from it. Thank you.